Non-resistance to evil, self-defense, and carrying the pack an extra mile. This is another of Jesus's admonitions where confusion has hurt people's acceptance of his gospel. Jesus did not say non-resistance to sin or non-resistance to iniquity. Jesus said not to resist evil, which is simply those parts of life not yet perfect. Jesus was urging us to have patience and tolerance when dealing with imperfect people and an imperfect world. We are constantly put into positions where we can choose to fight a situation or live with it. Sometimes there is nothing we can do, and grumbling about the person or problem just makes matters worse. None of this involves someone sinning and intentionally harming or attempting to harm you. The story of Jesus' life made it clear that he supported a person's right to defend themselves and others when they are in need of defense. But each case must be dealt with in its own context. Jesus said that if he was attacked by someone that he perceived was outside of the kingdom of God, someone who did not have a thought adjuster, then he would defend himself as needed without regard to the other person's welfare. But if the person was a member of the kingdom, he would not defend himself and instead attempt to reason with the person. That said, we were also told that Jesus had to live his life on earth as the universe creator. We are to learn from his life, but we are not to model it. For example, Jesus had the ability to discern whether or not the other person was a son of God, someone who had received their thought adjuster. I am unsure if we have that ability or if we are even supposed to attempt to do so. And for me, it feels like an assumption beyond my pay grade, so to speak. For each of you, it may be different. Only that faint voice inside will tell you. Regardless, we are only to do that needed for our defense, and nothing more. With regard to turning the other cheek or to carrying the pack another mile, first, this was not meant in a literal sense. Jesus was teaching us to counter evil with good, giving a positive, not negative, or even worse, passive, response to events. That is the continuum of correctness. In other words, Jesus said to not sit there grumbling under our breath, but to rather get up and find some way to demonstrate to the other person a higher way to be. This might work, and it might not. Regardless, Jesus was not a pacifist in any sense of the word. His responses to evil, sin, and iniquity were active, courageous, and absolutely in line with his Father's will. Physical courage is the least of courage, and often displayed when in a comradeship with others, like in an army marching off to war. But spiritual energy, or spiritual courage, and standing tall, alone, and majestic for your highest understanding of God, is a much more strenuous type of courage, and only found in the greatest among us. This is where the golden rule comes into play. How would God want me to treat my offending brother who is doing me wrong? An offending brother that God also wants to ascend to heaven, if at all possible. How each of us respond to all of these situations will be based on our level of spiritual development. But as long as we are continually progressing in our enactment of truth, beauty, and goodness, acting according to our highest understanding, we will be fine. Also, in all cases of defending ourselves or others, we are only justified in doing what is necessary to stop further harm. Any intentional harm we do after that is fully on us.